Hello and welcome to Bust and Beyond with your host Robin Hayhurst. In this podcast, Robin will introduce guests that have known failure and want to share their story about how they got through it and what happened next. This will make you learn how to see things from a new perspective and avoid making the same mistakes. Please welcome Robin Hayhurst.
Right, welcome to Bust and Beyond. Yet again, I've got another guest, and the guest today is Neil Giller. Hello, Neil.
How you doing, Robin? Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
That's great. I've been looking forward to this one. I think it's, a vibrant, kind of upbeat kind of day. So I think that's what we're going to do. And it's raining outside, so I thought we needed picking up a little bit. So Neil's
listen, you didn't tell me that I had to be positive today. What's that all about, Robin?
What is positivity anyway? Who needs that?
It'll never work. It'll never work.
So Neil, right, tell us a bit about yourself.
Shoe size 9, inside. No, you didn't want to know that part.
Someone might have, but not. No.
Let them guess. The name's Neil Giller. Very, very fortunate to be in a family that are a loving family. I've still got my mum and dad. I've got a brother that is 11 months and 3 weeks older than me. I'll let everyone else work that out. We're Irish twins. Dad was horny. What can I say? But really tight-knit family. We were brought up by the sea, Westcliff-on-Sea. So for me, being by the water's really important. It's like a relaxant for me, whether it be the sea, streams. I live by the canal now, so it's something that's really important to me. And at the age of 10, my parents went on holiday and left us with friends, legally, don't worry about it. And they went to America, and they were queuing up in line to go into some amusement or other, and they met a family, and this family came from Arizona. And they invited my parents back for a couple of days to the ranch. Hasten to add, 4 months later, my parents had come home, sold the restaurant, sold the taxi firm that my dad owned, sold the 6-bedroom semi-detached house, and with 8 suitcases and a cargo ship following us 3 months later, we moved to Arizona. 2.5 years there were unbelievable, Robin. And for me to have experienced that, I think made me who I am. It was my parents just, come on, let's do it. It was a really on a whim kind of thing, but unbelievable. What a stunning upbringing. We came back to London because my grandfather wasn't well. He survived at least another 8 years. God bless him. But I sometimes sit like today and look out the window and go, God, that's really great compared to 120 in the shade, which we used to have. When we came back, my father, who was a black taxi driver, went back on the taxis because it's a living that you could always grab hold of. And my mother had to go out to work, and she ended up working in many different places, one of them being a mailing house, which was for the new school. It was putting pieces of paper into envelopes and distributing someone's brand message, call to action. So she started doing that, and the woman that she was working with had a boat on Henley Regatta and asked my mother, who was her PA, to invite all the clients except for the ones that, shall we say, were a different colour or the ones that were a different religion. So my mother invited everyone, phoned those 3 clients that were a different race or religion and told them that she was leaving. Would they be her first 3 clients? And that's where it all began. At that point, I have to throw something in here. When I came back from America, school and I didn't agree with each other, and I kept on getting thrown out. And going back to my parents, Robin, they didn't allow you to sit on your ass and do nothing. That wasn't on the agenda. I always remember when I got thrown out of school. Gives you an idea of my mum. She came up to the meeting and I got thrown out because I bunked over the fence and put 2 fingers up at the headmistress. And the headmistress says, do you know what you got up to? And my mum looked at me and she went, bear with me. She said to the headmistress, bear with me. She looked at me, she went, darling, what have I taught you? If you're going to do something, don't get caught. So it gives you an idea who my mother is. So from there, when I went back home, my dad said I had to go get a job. And I went into Hatton Garden for 2 years, making, selling, running jewellery. It was a real grounding, Robin. As a 15-year-old up to 17, 18, there were some things that I saw that were just life lessons, I think. I think that's what you call them. And then Mum called my brother and I, good Jewish mother, told us what we were doing, and we went and worked for her. Called it slave labour. And we did really well. The business grew with those 3 clients. We got 32 local authorities, 15, 16 blue chip companies, small to medium sized enterprises. And we were doing all the print, mailing, data. Kicked Dad out because Dad came into the business as well after 10 years, kicked Mum out after 13 years, and ran it for another 12 years until my brother had a mental breakdown. One of the reasons was because of the business, Robin. It wasn't everything. For anyone out there that suffers, when someone says to you, what one thing was it that broke you? It's not that one thing that breaks you. It's like phyllo pastry. It's just many, many levels. It might even be that someone's got in your way there and then you snap. But he snapped, and we had to section him as a family. Fortunately, my mother sat on a mental health board, so she kind of knew what to do. But when it's close to you, Robin, it's difficult, you know? So man down was at the end of September. I ran the business October, November, and in December, the black dog came to visit me. I woke up one morning and just didn't want to be here, you know? And looking back on it, you're running a business with loads of staff, 10,000 square foot, 150 clients, people wanting you to do something right there and then. And it was a falling down moment with Michael Douglas. I don't know if anyone's ever seen it. I just had enough, you know, and I'm laughing about it because it's kind of made me who I am and given me a window into the mental health side of things. Fast forward, shut the business down in the following March. My brother came out of care, didn't have a job, had a bit of money, resented me for doing what I did, which, you know what, I'm all right, I can shoulder that. And I was sitting there with no work as such. I carried on doing a few bits and pieces. I moved the business on that we had already and I was getting kickbacks on that, but nothing really. And I went to a large networking organisation, which I'm part of and have been for 20 odd years, and asked them if they needed me for anything. And they sent me to Coventry, otherwise known as Nottingham and Lincoln. So I looked after a region from there. And it gave me I've always been a people person. I've always loved being around people. Good people. I haven't got time for arseholes. I haven't got time for drains of the world. I haven't got time for negativity. I just want to be around positivity. But there's loads of the afore. So I went and looked after a region for them, did quite well, and then that COVID thing came along.
Don't you find that, negativity of people, it so brings you down? And, I've worked with clients before and I talk about ambassadors and assassins, which isn't my invention. It's a guy called, I think it's Jeff Birch. That's who I learned it from anyway.
Nice.
He's a fantastic guy who I listen to him speak. If ever you want to get a speaker, he's still available. He's really, really good. But
1 second, are you getting commission on this? I like the way you sold him there. Really good.
I'm not commission. I've never been commission orientated. I say to my clients, if I introduce to someone, there's no commission involved. I introduce them because they're good at what they do. Nice. I'm a great believer in pay it forward. Get out there, help people. It will come back in some way. Not that it needs to, but
that ripple effect.
Yeah.
It will never work.
But the negativity in people, and you kind of get these people that are working for my clients and in their business, and they're assassins. They're absolute assassins to the business, and they're really finding it difficult, the clients, to run their business. And it's not something I come out as a business coach. You need to fire this person. You need to get rid of. I just get them to review them and review them and review them. And we have a mutual friend who got rid of someone recently. It took me about 6 months to get him to that point. Different guy now. The company feels different. He's got a future. He's got because that, I'm not saying this person was evil or anything else, but they were the wrong match for that business. And, surround yourself with these negative people. You'll never get to where you need to be. Surround yourself with people that believe in you, and you will. And the trouble with family, going back to family, is that
I'm down.
Absolutely. But with family, you kind of haven't got a choice. So sometimes what you've got to do is you can't choose your family. And I think family is important, though I've got a very dysfunctional one. But, at the same time, you can choose your friends. So you can choose people that believe in you and believe in what you do and are supportive, even if it's taking you down that pub when you've had a hard day and just, knowing that you just want to chill and not talk about anything important. That's as important as everything else they can do, because lots of people, particularly what me and you do now, don't really understand what we do. They're outside of that world.
Do you know what? I sometimes think about, what do you actually do? It's weird, isn't it? You do this and then their money comes in at the end of the month. Yeah, it's that there are a lot of people that don't, and I totally agree with you. You know, you look around at the people that are surrounding you. If they're not lifting you up, they're not your people.
No.
They're not your people, and it's not their fault, and it's not your fault.
And people don't get that, and particularly jealousy. I mean, jealousy. I often say I've got two wonderful daughters who have just got the best work ethic, and they're really doing well, and I'm so proud of them. But they often say, you know, so-and-so's not very nice to me, or you know, I'm really getting a lot of stick off this person. I go, well, because they're jealous of you. And they go, well, what have they got to be jealous of? You know, because, you know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be true. You know, people throughout my life, particularly when I was running my development company, thought I was completely utterly loaded. I could buy anything I wanted. That was not true. But I had people hate me because they were jealous of it, you know. So, you know, people are also, I mean, I sat down with a client recently and he said he wanted to be like this company. He wanted to be the best company. He wanted to be better than, so he named 3 companies that he wanted to be better than. So we looked them up on Companies House, looked at their turnover, their declared profit and everything else. They weren't doing that well, you know, but you are you want to be like them, but you don't know actually what it's like to be like them.
Bear with me a second, if you don't mind. First of all, I'll back you up on what you said about your daughters, because I'm also a proud father as well. But, you know, that green-eyed monster, you know, and it is a green-eyed monster. I don't want what someone else has got. And you know what? It's quite amazing. It amazes me in today's world that social media plays a massive part in this, Robin.
Huge.
And check this out, right? I could drive around in a Ferrari, right? I really could, right? And I'm not being aloof there. I could. But it would cost me a bloody fortune to do so. And all I would be doing it for is for other people to see me doing it, because I'm a business coach and that's what business coaches do. No. On the contrary, no one knows what I drive. No one knows where I live. No one knows that I live in a shoebox or whatever it is. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Totally.
Because to be quite honest with you, what people portray online, which is a massive problem, which is all part of the equation, which is why your guy turned around and went, I want to be like them. Do you know what? Go and walk in their shoes. You know, you see all these people driving around these beautiful cars and you think to yourselves, oh, look at them showing off. Well, they've got to pay £700, £800 a month for those cars. They've got to work bloody hard for those cars. But you're sitting there thinking that they're loaded.
Oh, yeah, no, and absolutely. And it's the outside perspective that people have. And social media has got so much to blame for it. I mean, it makes me quite cross. If you talk to the younger generation now, anxiety is a really big part of their life. And most of that is because they see all these people around them on social media with perfect lives. No, they haven't got perfect lives. So, you know, if they haven't got perfect lives, what's happening? You know, why are you seeing it like that? And you just got to realize that the only person that you need to kind of really impress in the end of the day is the guy in the mirror, you know? So if you go out and do that, you will be such a fantastic person.
Put your head down at night knowing that you've done the best job that you can. And do you know what? And again, excuse my language, if you fucked up during the day, you didn't plan on doing it. Do you know what?
Just because of that one word now, I've got to tick that box saying I've got explicit.
I'm sorry, I do apologise.
Doesn't matter. I often do.
But we've done well to go 25 minutes. For any of those that know me well enough, I lasted, and if you've got a book on me, it lasted 25 minutes.
Oh, well done. Well done.
I used it appropriately. So there you go.
But I mean, you know, going back to your earlier points, I think one, you talking about childhood. My childhood was so important to me. I mean, my parents were fantastic, and my father we had a cottage. I'll be honest, I had a privileged upbringing. There's no question about it. But we had a cottage in the Lake District, just outside the national park. Really beautiful little village called Meaburn. I haven't been up there for years, and I really regret that. It's time. It's also, there's some lovely memories up there, but they're a bit hurtful, you know, because it was so lovely. Because my father's passed away now. So I had if you understand this, a swallows and Amazons upbringing. So if you ever read the book by
I've never heard that. I've never heard that.
So it's a book by Arthur Ransom, I think it is. Sorry if I've got that name wrong, but it's basically about a load of kids that kind of had a little boat and went around the lakes and went onto islands and camped, and, you know, and that's what I had. You know, I used to fish and canoe, and from a very early age. And my uncle had a farm up there, and we used to go and help. Well, I used to not help with the milking. I think I just got in the way, but, you know, I was there. And I kind of saw that traditional kind of farmers getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, doing the milking, coming back, and farmer's wife had made massive breakfast and, the things that perhaps were a little bit earlier, but it was an old farm. It's called the Keld, and it was in a place called Kingsmead. So I'm just, putting it out there, but it was a really idyllic childhood. And I look back on it and I was so, so privileged. And then that was reinforced by things called out of bound courses, which I've spoken about before. But out of bound courses really is such a massive thing. They're so amazing. And I used to send my employees on them because they teach you through the medium of outdoor pursuits. So climbing, canoeing, raft building, potholing, what you're capable of as an individual. What you look at and you think is impossible isn't impossible for you. And I think if every child had to do an out of bound course, it would change everything because it really kind of is very, very powerful. So that kind of effect on me and what I do now was really, really part of my the building blocks of who I am now.
Isn't wherever we come from part of whatever we do?
The journey makes you. The journey makes you. There's a few things happened in life that really absolutely, were pinnacle. And my upbringing and the Lake District and what happened there was really important. Working on my dad's building sites as a kid, really, really important. I'm pretty sure that it wasn't health and safety, but it was, I was there.
What was health and safety back in the black and white days, eh, Robin?
I'm pretty sure that a 12-year-old driving a 4-ton dumper wasn't quite right.
Shh.
My dad wasn't aware of it at the time because it was a big company and he had site managers and stuff like that. And then the other thing was I was trained by a fantastic company called Hubert Leach, who actually was my dad's best mate. So I remember being interviewed by one of the directors and he actually said to me, he said, I don't know why I'm doing this. I went, what? I can't have to do it. It's only a trainee job, it was a chain boy, they used to call them. So it was someone who helped setting out. And he said, I don't know why I'm interviewing you. And I said, well, what? Can't I have the job then? He went, no, I've been told to employ you anyway, so I don't know why I'm bothering interviewing you. So, and they trained me for 5 years and gave me the most fantastic training in every department because I think Paul Leach, who owned the company, knew that I was going to go on and perhaps run my own company one day. And then going bust was pinnacle in me just seeing the world from a different angle and seeing people's pain and understanding mental well-being, and other things. So all these things are kind of departures on my, or landing points on my journey that have been so important. And I think you talking about your time in America and coming back and, it just resonates with me completely.
It does make you, but you know what? If you ask my brother what his upbringing was, you're talking about those radiators and drains. My brother would find, and I'm not disrespecting my brother, I love him to bits and pieces, but the way that he viewed his upbringing was disruptive, my parents taking him out there and bringing him back and putting him in the school system. For me, yeah, it was disruptive, but, when I look back on what it was and what's made me, I remember all of my teachers saying, sit down and shut up, Giller. Well, now, do you know what? I stand up and talk for a living. Which is a beautiful full circle. Hasten to add, I don't set fire to porter cabins anymore. That was the last straw. That's why I got thrown out.
Oh, was it? Okay. I must say, school for me didn't get on. I hated it.
It wasn't their fault. It wasn't my fault. I think it was just the time. I think it was me moving around a lot. And I think it was probably... You were talking about failure, and I was talking to a really good friend of mine about failure. It's all part of the play. It's all part of the equation. And for you to turn around and go, I went bust. Well, there'll be some people turn around and go, watch. Oh, look at him. He went bust. That's disgusting. Well, do you know what? You haven't walked in someone's shoes until you walk in their shoes. And you know what? I don't know you that well, but I would imagine that the right people were looked after, if we know what I'm saying. Right.
Well, hopefully. Actually, to talk about people kind of going, oh, you went bust. It has happened. And I remember when, I'm being very honest here, when I kind of first started this kind of career, going out on social media thinking someone's going to comment, someone's going to troll me, and no one did. They have, but over other things, I'm ugly, evidently. That's fine.
Are you all right with that? Are you going to be all right?
Fine. The people in my life that I like me. So that's fine. But yeah. So all this kind of stuff. But, I went to join and I've mentioned this on other podcasts, but I'm going to name them this time. And so the Federation of Master Builders, who've been really supportive in what I'm doing, really understand the benefit of coaching, wanted me to do more work with them. And I think they're a great organisation. So I want to get that, that clear. They're a great organisation. I think they've got the right attitude, and I think some of their staff have got fantastic attitude. But I went to join because I was asked to, and I got denied membership. I got denied membership because a company I was running went bust in 2015. So on that basis, 80% of all new startups in our industry fail in the first 5 years. So every single business owner of those companies can't join the Federation of Master Builders. So
running on that criteria.
Yeah. So I'm in discussions behind the scenes about it because I think it's wrong. And I think the people that I'm connected with there also think it's wrong. I think people should look at things on their merits. But it is interesting when things come and bite you, even we're nearly 9 years now. I think we are 9 years. I mean, it's still very raw to me, actually, to be honest. But, it's 9 years ago. And, it still bites you in the bottom every now and then.
Even if it's not physical, it's mental.
Hmm.
I get it. I get it. Listen, no one likes failure.
No one does like failure. But if you can embrace failure, the lessons learned from failure are so much more powerful because people don't tend to analyze success. Oh, I made so much money there. Why? Why did I make so much money? How can I work that out? They don't tend to just go, wow, I made loads of money. I lost a lot of money there. Oh, gosh, no, I need to work that out because that can't happen again. It's a completely different conversation, isn't it?
Yeah, it's them human beings and them thoughts coming back. It's them human beings and them thoughts. For me, I just think it's important to keep going, and that's one of the things that it taught me when I fell down and I'd had enough. I could have done absolutely nothing and gone into the system, if you understand what I'm talking about. But I chose not to go into that system. I chose to rise above and carry on. I mean, failure for me, 27, 28-year marriage, divorced, and you have to look back on that. And you're talking about things that come back and you think about. And I do think about things. I think about that. Could I have done any more? Should I have done what I did? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But if you dwell on that too much, it's just going to envelop you. It's going to hinder you. Compared to you were talking about, you don't look at the good stuff. I try and concentrate on the good stuff. I've still got a good relationship with my kids, my ex-missus. So we can still have a conversation. We can still sit there and laugh with each other. Did she want to kill me? You're damn right she did. But we've managed to go through that real hard period. The one, that period, if anyone's sitting here listening today, where you think it's not going to go away, that problem. Let me tell you something. It will. It will go away. And here's a little touch for you. You'll have another one taking its place because that's what life's like, right? And you just have to keep going. And having people like you and I around for the clients that we deal with, and some people turn around and go, well, what, you crazy? You've got a business coach? You've got a mentor? No, on the contrary, I don't want to go crazy. That's why I've got one. To have those people, and going back to what we were talking about before, to have those people around you that you can turn around and go, look, let me throw this up against you. What do you think? And there's no jealousy there. There's no aggravation. There's no one sitting there thinking, why is he asking that? They're going to give you the honest answer. And having people like us around, or I'm going to frame it, having good people around that have got your back is where you need to be in life. Because when you do fall down, you need those people to pick you back up again, Robin.
I totally agree. And think the important thing, particularly with what I do, what you do, what a mentor would do, is we're not emotionally involved in those relationships that you're in. And often the clarity you get because of that is just huge. Then you add life experience, and then you add everything else that's gone on. There's a lot you can do. And, beyond that, I mean, I've designed systems and looked at how I've run my business. And I'm quite honest with my clients. Some of the stuff I ask them to do isn't because that's what I did. Some of this is because that's what I didn't do. So, and I've really had a good look at construction businesses in particular and seen what people do wrong and what people do right. And if I can even if people don't use my systems, even if people don't kind of follow what I ask them to do entirely, if I can just get them thinking differently, so thinking in a positive way about the business, and they design their own systems and they, then I've done my job, really. It's about that. Not everyone gets that as a client, but it's great. And I think that's the eye-opener for me has been doing workshops. So I was talking to you earlier about workshops. So I've only just started doing workshops. So I'll be honest with you, I'm new to it. Okay. But I love it. Absolutely love standing up there and seeing, 10, 15 people get that eureka moment.
That light bulb moment.
They suddenly understand. But also, they listen to everyone else around the table who have the same problems. Strange enough, you can kind of put the number of kind of general problems that contractors have on your fingers. There's mostly 10 areas that they need help with.
Will cash flow be in there by any chance, Robin?
Oh, yes. Cash flow
Isn't it the same for,
yeah.
It's the same for any business, business really, isn't it?
The thing about construction and cash flow, there is extra challenges. It's normally quite a bit of money. So you don't kind of, it's not like a service industry because the materials and everything has quite a bit of money. We have clients who don't understand it. They don't understand that you need the money. I had someone once say, well, I didn't realize you didn't have the money to pay us in the bank. You had to wait for it to come in. Yeah. If I'm paying £1 million out, I've got to wait for the client to pay me or the bank to draw it down for the bank. I haven't got £1 million in my back pocket, or definitely not at the moment anyway.
If the Inland Revenue is listening to this, we've got no money. We're skint.
Cash flow is such an important area. And actually what most builders do is they just predict it to the end of the month. Can I get into the end of the month? So the stress is repeated every month. Just look at it longer. Look at it for 6 months, a year.
You spoke about it. I remember running my business and having that, right, I've got to find the money for the end of the month. I've got to find the end of the month. And then when we got the coach on board, they were turning around going, no, you've got to find the money for the next 3 months. That's where you've got to look, right? Because if you can get money in and you've got it in, it's easier to get more money in. And they were absolutely right. Yeah. Because that's the biggest thing in business, the money, whether it be getting it in or whether it be charging what you're actually worth.
The workshop I'm doing this month, we're doing cash flow forecasting, but part of that is overheads. But part of that is because you have to work out overheads. But in order to work out overheads, you've got to work out what your costs are, what you're worth an hour. So as a carpenter on site, what are you charging now? And I would say fundamentally, that's one of the things that so many people get completely wrong.
They don't know.
No, they don't know what they cost themselves. So what they're doing.
Well, it's strange you say that. I was talking to a new onboarding. That's a new terminology in the world, isn't it? I onboarded a new client this week. They turned around and they belong to a networking organisation. And they turned around and went, well, it's only £1,000 a year. I went, no. What your venue charges? Well, that's only another £900. Right, we're up to £1,900, yeah? Yeah, but it's only £1,900. I went, right, okay, could you just remind me how much you charge an hour, please? Because when you're waking up at 5:30 in the morning and you're going to a business meeting and you don't walk out until 9:30, that's 4 hours. Who's paying for that time? Yeah, but I'm not at work. On the contrary, what are you doing waking up at 5:30 in the bloody morning then? Mm. And people do not value their time. I haven't got enough hands. When it gets to that elephant in the room, how much do you cost? And people turn around and they can't afford you. That's okay. That's okay. Because if you can't afford me, you need to go and do something else. Well, will you give me any money off? No. Because if I give you money off and I don't value myself, how am I going to get you to value yourself?
Well, it's more than that. I mean, when I first started, like most business coaches, I thought, well, actually, I'll help a few people for free. Okay. So you're laughing because you know what I'm going to say. And they didn't turn up. So, because people don't invest, and it's really also the amount they invest. I have a digital course. It is really good. I spent a lot of time designing it. It's cost me thousands and thousands of pounds to have it built. And it really gives, if people just follow that digital course, it is amazing. It's really good for them. They could change their company just using that. I mean, there's lots more they can do, but that's enough to give them a good head start. I'm selling it for £99 plus VAT. Okay. The trouble with that is people don't value it. It's much more valuable than that. But I want people to get started. I want people to make a start on their business and start to realize they've got to work on their business. So I'm trying to do that. So some people don't value it and they don't really get through the course. They'll do the first couple of units and go, that's interesting, and then leave it.
That's a magpie attitude, isn't it?
Yeah. But some people will value it and will use it and they'll get something out of it. And they're the people that speak to me. They're the people that come back to me and go, right, okay, done that. Is there anything else I can do?
What's next?
I want some more information on this or that or the other. And they are the people that are going to be successful in business.
You can take a horse to water. is the terminology that I was thinking about there. I have enough clients. One of the last clients that I asked them to lose my number, metaphorically speaking, every single session, his favourite terminology was, yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know that. Yep, I know that. Yeah. And in one session, which was an hour long, he said, I know that 13 times. And at the end of the session, I turned around to him and I went, please don't think I'm being rude, which is a beautiful saying. If you ever want to be rude, put that in front of whatever you're going to say, because then you can be as rude as you want. Please don't think I'm going to be rude, but you are not my kind of client. I'm going to refund you for the remainder of this month. If there's anything else that you need or you want to come back and play, please feel free, give me a shout. We can maybe try again. Wasn't happy, but you know what? I valued my time that was going back to it. If ever I've got a client, and it is so rare, Robin, but really, really rare, that I'm not feeling it. Yesterday, I had 3 clients with 15 minutes split in between all of them. I don't usually do that. I've got a very busy end of the week, which meant I had to do it. And I got off of every single one of them and I thought, yeah, we've achieved something there. If at any point I'm thinking to myself, this is a chore, they're not my client. It doesn't matter how much money they're putting in my bank. If I'm now not enjoying at the age of 53 what I'm doing, I'm not going to do it. It's kind of like when my kids were bullied at school. Please don't do that. I don't like it. And I'm going to say the same to clients now. Please don't do that. I don't like it. Go away. Go away. I don't need your money. It's not because I'm rich. I just want to lay that down there.
Yeah.
It's not because I'm rich. It's because I don't want that negativity around me.
That's not what I heard. I heard you're rich.
You've been watching too much social media, buddy. That's what your problem is.
It always looks better from the outside.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
I've got to ask you, and on that note, do you reckon I should get a blue or red Ferrari? Look, we'll have that conversation later,
I think everyone's got a red one, haven't they? So
let's go blue. Let's go blue.
Yeah, so, I mean, I've had clients particularly that go, yeah, I've got that system. Yeah, I've got a system for that. I've got a system for that. So we let it carry on for a little while normally. And then I go at the end of it, I go, right, okay. So you've got all those systems, right? When was the last time you used them? And that's normally quite an eye opener. So, because
it's leading that horse to water, isn't it? It's going back to that.
Consistency. It's consistency. And I think it's a difficult one because consistency is, and again, I've said this before, and I've done a few podcasts, so I will repeat a few stories, but, actually it means that, you'll get it. But if you've got a dog, if you're a dog owner, you'll get up in the morning, rain, snow, wind, whatever, and walk them. It's called consistency.
I walked my dog this morning, dripping, absolutely dripping.
Me too.
Do you know what? I enjoyed it. I'm all right with it.
Absolutely. So with a business, it's exactly the same. You've got to have that consistency that whatever's going on, you carry on doing that. Because if you're under stress or if you're having a bad time of it and you focus on the stress and the bad time, you don't focus on the consistency, then strangely enough, you're most probably more likely for that stress or bad time to carry on and for perhaps, failure to start to creep in because, well, it's obvious you're not running your business, just focusing on the things that are happening. So it's really important that if you've got a tax bill due in 3 months' time, if you spend every waking hour worrying about that tax bill not working, it's going to be a problem, that tax bill. But if you spend every waking hour working and earning money, that tax bill might not be a problem.
Absolutely, 100%. Absolutely agree with you. Absolutely agree. It is the way you look at it, isn't it? It really is. And you know what? For anyone sitting out there thinking that it's okay for us, we don't get a little bit muddled up as well. On the contrary, I don't know about you, Robin. I've got a mentor. I've got a coach, right? And that shows something as well, right? And you said it before. I lend people. It's not always what I've done. It's what I didn't do. That is a lot of what I actually give to my clients because I used to walk in with this massive to-do list. I used to have a 40-minute drive in and I used to be writing on to-do lists. Now, I don't do to-do lists anymore. I don't do to-do lists anymore. I do to-done lists. So if the first 3 things you do in the morning, here's a little tip for everyone out there, is pulling money into your business, well, then so be it. Because if those 3 things come to fruition, how are you feeling for the rest of the day? That's what I said to a client the other day. He said, what did you do this morning? I said, well, I followed up on one client that sent an email that's booked me for a speaking gig in September. They've asked me to invoice it straight away. I onboarded a brand spanking new member. And also I followed up on someone that wanted me to do a networking gig for them. Every single one of those, by the time I'd finished the conversation, put about $2,000 in my bank account. Thank you.
Well, actually, as we're sitting here, an email's just flashed across my screen. And as we're sitting here, someone's just bought my digital course. And I'd just like to, I'm not going to name them, but I'd like to thank them for buying the course and tell them that I am absolutely committed to make sure they make most of it. So we're reigniting because we just relaunched the course. We're reigniting our support on it because we want people to really, really get the most of it that they can. So thank you for buying the course. And
Well done, Robin. Well done, Robin.
An email comes up and goes, "You've just sold a course." I wrote the email myself.
But one sec. Tell me I'm wrong about what I said. What time is it? It's not even before 12 o'clock. And you feel pretty good about yourself, don't you?
Absolutely.
Good. Well done, you, by the way. Well done.
So before we kind of went into a real conversation, you were talking about closing your business. So how did you, I mean, it's quite a journey, isn't it? From a mailing business, which, by the way, I spent a few days stuffing envelopes. I still remember the cuts on the end of my fingers for a company in Wollongong City, actually. I mean, I remember it well because I used to do a bit of temping. I also cleaned up, claim to fame, I cleaned up after Live Aid. So it was for an agency. I think it was Blue Arrow. I went down there and I cleaned up after Live Aid. So I felt really gutted I wasn't there. So my wife was actually there. I didn't know her then, but it was a few years before I met her.
I remember that day like crystal clear. I remember that day. I remember it.
But so you closed your company down. How did you end up going from that to what you do now?
It's a great question. In the mailing house, I was the front of house. So I dealt with all the clients. I made sure they were okay. And my way of thinking is I don't really want to talk about business. And you were talking about it before. I want to talk about your dog. I want to talk about your kids. My favourite question to the clients, or the prospective clients, was, what's your favourite chocolate bar? They were always like, what? What's your favourite chocolate bar? So by the end of that conversation, do you know what we'd get done? We'd post them their favourite chocolate bar. Thank you very much for your comment. It was little things like that. So I understood how to schmooze a client, how to make them feel that they weren't the only client. And if anyone's listening to that, that's all you've really got to do. You just have to make that person who's going to put money in your bank believe that you can achieve what you said you can. And if it's been checked out, I've got two people who I have to send. This is a lovely part of what I do. I've got two people that have recently come on board. I'm sending them brownies today, right? I mean, back in the days, I used to really look after my clients. So when I put the company down and went and did the networking for this organisation, I came across a few people who were, well, you run a business, come on, give me some ideas. And like you said, I did it for free. And I was like, this is fun. I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying watching people win. I've played football my whole life. I know about coaching from that perspective. So when you see a kid walk on the pitch and he's got two left feet and he ends up with one left foot and he scores a goal or whatever, there's nothing like it as a coach. So I wanted a bit of that. So I thought, well, where's my in? So running a large business, failed on numerous occasions, signed some brilliant contracts, lost some even better contracts, hit with mental health, nearly lost my brother 3 times. All of the above, life. And I thought, right, okay. And I went on a mental health first aid course. And I think that's exactly what changed my outlook, because I realised that us professional jugglers, us professional plate spinners, what you said before, we've all got the same kind of problems that we're dealing with. All you really need is someone there to help you. Someone there that you can throw the shit up against the wall and they're not going to take it. They're going to turn around and go, right, okay, how's about we try this? How's about we try that? And often with the clients that I'm dealing, they've got the answers. They know what the answers are. You just have to, as someone said to me the other day, all you do is you wind me up and then point me in the right direction and let me go. Yeah.
Exocet missile, I call it.
Yeah. But that's.
Yeah. And you know exactly where it's heading.
But 1 second, you must love that as well. When the client phones you up 20 minutes later and goes, nailed it. You sit there thinking, of course you did. Of course you did.
I think the other side of it is, particularly with clients, and, you know, I mean, I'm learning. I'm still learning. I'm always learning. But they don't know what they don't know. And sometimes they've got a really big problem. And you can go, well, have you thought of doing this? And they just go, I never thought of doing that. And that just resolves that completely. And you do get that kind of thing happen. often things aren't quite that eureka. They've got to kind of go, well, will that work? Will that work? We'll try it.
Let's try it.
And then they come back and go, yeah, that really worked. So that can be a big difference.
I started out like everyone else. I had this pipe dream that I'd have 20 clients paying me what they're paying me, and I'm only dealing with them for 2 hours a week. Well, you know what? That pipe dream's turned into an actual business. It's turned into figures near enough there. Not only do I have one-on-one clients, I go out to schools and educate them. That's part of what I give back. Right, I go and do a little bit of mentoring. That's part of what I give back to the local kids in the community. Right, I go and do talks to people's staff. Right, I like you, and I get a massive kick from this. I run a mastermind once a month where what happens in that room stays in that room, and some of the stuff you've just started workshops, but some of the stuff that goes on in that room, you walk out sometimes and you're like, oh my God. We didn't plan on talking about that. We didn't go into that, but some of the stuff, and you just walk out. You spoke about it before. I couldn't be proud of my kids, right? I could not be proud of my kids. Yeah, it's probably not on the same level. It's definitely not the same level because they're my flesh and blood. But when some of my clients go away, and what you said, go away and do it, and they come back and go, guess what I've done? You're sitting there thinking, yeah, it's that pride that I crave for.
I've got 2 or 3 clients that are particularly, really, really proud of them, and other clients that are in a really difficult position, but they've put their trust in me to help them through it, and we're getting them through it, and I'm committed to getting them through it. It's going to happen, and often it's just life has got in the way, and sometimes it's health, sometimes it's business, sometimes it's a client that hasn't paid them, sometimes it's all those kind of things. So it's really important to kind of get them support, get them moving forward, and get them realise that even
that life does get in the way, Robin, doesn't it, eh?
Yeah, everything gets in the way. So of you making a success of what you're doing. And like I said, you don't know what you don't know. And when I look at some people who failed, you just go, you didn't need to fail. In fact, you most probably gave up too early because you could have fought this without putting your house at risk or all the other things. And they haven't fought hard enough because they don't know how to. They don't know that they, what they've got access to and what they could do and what they're, going back to clients and going, look, it's money you haven't paid me. I need this money. So if you don't pay me in 7 days, I am going to, do this, do the other. You don't have to do that thing. You don't have to employ a solicitor or take them to court. You just have to look like you're going to. And
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I've used that trick many times in business where absolutely could not afford court. And I've actually written a really good letter. And hey, there's lots of help with that now. The AI is good, but you've got to put it back into your own words. Don't ever just use AI and just go, yeah, that's good enough.
Agreed.
You can really get people to go, oh, yeah, this is going to be a lot of hassle. But have a system in place. So if someone's late by 2 days, you send them a nice polite letter and you explain to them that because of cash flow and because you're a small business and because of this and because of that, you need to be paid on time. It's really important that you work with clients that do pay you time. You talked about sacking clients. Don't work with people who don't pay on time.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, you might think, well, that's going to hurt. No, it's not. It's going to make your life so much easier because you can concentrate on the clients that do pay you on time.
Absolutely, 100%. One of the most liberating things is getting rid of a client sometimes.
Well, it's even before that, isn't it? I mean, I talk to people about win rates. In construction, it's really important. It's a very expensive thing to price a job. It can cost £2,000 to £5,000. Even if you don't relate to that, your time's worth money. So
Absolutely.
You're there doing it. The quickest way of getting your win rate up is to not price things, right? So if you don't think you're going to win it, or there's absolutely no chance, why are you pricing it? Yes, £10 million job or a £5 million job or a £3 million job, but if you're not going to win it, you can override that and say, look, I'm going to have a go at this because I want the experience and just to see how it goes and get feedback or something like that. But generally, the best way to get your win rate up is to not price something, and that's the quickest way. And in that way, what you're doing is, if you want £10 million worth of work and your win rate is 1 in 10, you're having to price £100 million worth of work to get £10 million worth of work. So put it into, if you want £1 million of work, you've got to price £10 million worth of work. If your win rate is 50%, if you want £1 million worth of work, you have to price £2 million worth of work. That sounds so much better, doesn't it?
So it feels better as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Feels better. Do you know, and it's true what you turned around and said. Majority of the time, and I think it's what I said, the majority of the time, I think the clients actually know, like we do, we know the answer. We just need someone to turn around and go, again, there you go, accept this so as you used it. Right, off you go. And I tell you what, if this doesn't work, let's try something else, right? Because that's what it is as well, running a business. Life's trial and error as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
We don't know all the answers.
Trial and error is really, really important. It's helpful if you've got someone to steer you, so you're not trying 5 things, you're only trying 2 things.
Absolutely.
Because, different things work in different ways. And that's where, really a mentor, people often say, what value do you bring? And I think the value is immense. Can I put a value on it? That's really difficult because you don't know what the outcome would have been if you weren't there.
I think if someone asks us that question, I think your only reply was, what do you do? I think your only reply, or my only reply is, here you go and speak to a few of my clients.
Yeah.
I don't know what I do. And that's not me being non-specific. That's me being the specific, because I do something different for every single client. Exactly the same as my coach, my mentor. He does something different for me. I mean, my coach and mentor probably think that I suffer from Tourette's, right? But they really help me out and keep me on as straight and narrow as you can do. So what do I do for my clients? One of my caveats and one of the things that I try and get my clients to do is live that life-work balance instead of the other way round. Because everyone always says, how do you deal with a work-life balance? I don't anymore. My life's more important than my work. And if I've offended anyone that pays me, do you know what? Sod you, I don't care. Me waking up every single morning is more important than how much money I've got in my bank, right? Let's sum it down.
I don't know if it's a film or a book, but someone talked about harmony rather than balance.
Nice.
So actually, I have not a problem with this, but my perspective on it has changed completely. So I most probably do more hours than I've ever done before, but I don't see it as work because I love it. So occasionally, I mean, every job's got bits you don't like doing, but I love it. So I don't see it as work. So my life is a blend. It's blended. It's not kind of, I don't worry about this kind of, okay, right, I stop at 6. That's it. Therefore, I put my phone away, I put my computer. It's just a blend. So I just blend the things together. But at the same time, I might work until 8, 9 o'clock at night some nights because I'm doing something.
We're business owners, mate. We work 25 hours a day and 8 days a week. That's what we do.
I build funnels. I build houses. I build funnels now. So I might be doing that and really enjoying it, and I'm just kind of, it's like playing a computer game for me. So could get on and do that. But at the same time, at 10 o'clock, I might take my wife out for a walk and go to the local pub and, in the morning. So it's that blend. It's understanding kind of that blend and harmony rather than the balance.
Everyone that knows me well enough to know that I'm either walking the dog or eating cake. And anyone that knows me well enough turn around and say, how do you earn money walking the dog and eating the cake? I said, because of all the stuff that I do in between walking the dog and eating cake.
And just to let you know, Neil, you can do those things at the same time. It's a great thing to do.
I know. I know that. You don't need to trust me, buddy. You don't need to teach me.
The real big
multitasking, that, isn't it?
If you can walk to a cake shop with the dog, win-win.
You're sorted. There you go. And you know what? There is the pearl of wisdom that everyone was waiting for. There you go. That's what 2 coaches have given you today to walk away with.
It's already out there, isn't it? You could have your cake and eat it.
Oh, too good. Seriously. I know. Too good. Too good.
Someone's going to write that on a placard one day and put my name against it.
Call for the royalties, Robin. Call for the royalties.
Anyway, Neil, it's been really good speaking. We're going to have to bring it to a close. So we will be breaking the record for the longest podcast that we've done so far.
24 hours later, we're still talking.
Absolutely. What I always end with, or I try to end with, is if you were giving advice to a business owner, what are the 3 most important things? What is the 3 bits of advice you'd give a business owner that would make a difference or that you've learned from?
Ted Lasso, believe.
I love Ted Lasso. I think I watched that because I started traveling by train a lot, and I started watching that, and I watched the whole episode from here in Manchester and back, and generally all of them, absolutely brilliant. Yeah,
just believe.
Yeah, totally.
It was that sign that they ripped down and they ripped it. And do you know what? They believed. And for anyone that hasn't seen it, it's just a beautiful film.
It's a series, but
it's a beautiful series. It really is. And if you actually watch it and sit back and watch it, it's even more beautiful. It really is. So the first one is believe. The second one is trust yourself.
Yeah.
Trust yourself, right? We use our head, heart, and our gut. For me, I trust my gut because my head and my heart have lied to me enough times. When my gut tells me I'm wrong, majority of the time, it's right. So trust yourself. So believe, trust, and passion. Be passionate about what you do. Because if you're passionate about what you do, people buy that stuff. People buy passion. So those are my 3 things off the top of my head, which I think I've done all right with, actually.
I think that's pretty good. I mean, actually, they're quite original. So I think passion's really important, because when you see someone who's passionate about what they do or what they're doing or what they like, it's infectious. Yeah, passion is infectious. And I think jealousy often comes from seeing someone who's passionate about what they do and thinking, I wish I felt like that about what I do.
I always get, people always say to me, why are you always smiling, Neil? They always say to me, why are you always smiling? So I look at them, I look them straight in the face, I put a little frown on and go, what's the alternative?
Oh, absolutely. You know that it takes less muscles to smile than it does to frown. So
I thought you were going to say it takes less muscles to smile than it does to punch someone in the face. But that's a different quote.
That's not one of my quotes.
Robin, listen, before you get rid of me, seriously, thank you so much for hosting me. I thoroughly appreciate it. There was no cake, though. Seriously, what's going on?
Well, we'll have to meet up and have cake because we're not far from each other.
I mean,
no, that sounds brilliant. Well, thank you for coming. I think it's been really refreshing, and I think it's delivered an upbeat episode, which is really good. I mean, actually, all the episodes are upbeat. Even some of the ones I've heard people say to me, "Oh, can't listen to that one," because actually listen, because they're all upbeat. Everything's upbeat, but it was particularly upbeat.
It's that one nugget that you'll find in anything that you listen to.
And again, to anybody out there listening, if you've listened to this and you like it, give us a review, follow us, send me an email, let me know. It's, I'm talking to a mic. Well, I'm talking to Neil, but, I'm talking to...
I'm just about to say my dad's called Mike. You got the name wrong. What can I say?
And, it's very difficult to kind of get any feedback on how much people enjoy it. I get some feedback and it's really good what I get. And if you hate it, well, let me know. I don't mind. We'll always striving to do better. But yeah, thanks, Neil, for coming, and we will speak again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Bust and Beyond with Robin Hayhurst. Be sure to tune in next time and visit his website at robinhayhurst.com.